Welcome back to the Hive, everybody, and today we're going to talk about the top 5 USA Speedway rider 1970 heartthrobs. Now these were the heartthrobs of the women of yesteryear. Coming in 5th place was number 54, the amazing Mike Caruso. Mike Caruso had no nicknames, but he was an amazing rider. He had that boy next door look. He was very handsome. Even though Mike never won a United States Speedway National, he was considered the top favorite like 2 or 3 years in his career. And Mike Caruso was always a threat to win that national championship. Mike Caruso was also childhood friends. They grew up together and went to elementary school with number 7 Mark Cherry. Mark Cherry was an amazing speedway rider. Also, they hung out, they rode motorcycles, they learned to ride together, and then they rode speedway together.
3, 2, 1.
Number 5, Mike Caruso, rest in peace. He had passed away several years ago. He was an amazing rider with that handsome looks. Number 5, Mike Caruso. Coming in at number 4 was the Rocket Rick Woods. Rick Woods, he won the first United States Speedway National Championship at the Whiteman Stadium and won 2 United States Speedway Championships at Costa Mesa Speedway. Rick Woods was definitely one of the most handsome speedway riders. He had those good looks. He was a star. Rick Woods came to Costa Mesa as a United States Speedway champion, and all the girls liked who? Number 2, Rick Woods. Rick was not only a handsome guy, but he has a younger brother named Gene Woods. Number 91 and number 3. And Gene and Rick were an amazing brother team. Rick Woods was the older brother by like 10 years. And he mentored and he helped his younger brother, Gene. Nowadays, Gene runs the Hot Shoe Hall of Fame. And they have a big get-together here coming soon. So you might want to contact Gene. He's in Las Vegas, Nevada. And Gene is still actively involved in the Speedway and honoring all the people in the motorsports. And next we move to number 3 most handsome rider in the 70s, the Glamour Boys. And he was a glamour boy indeed. He was number 22, Danny Bazooka Becker. Danny Becker, number 22, he was an amazing rider. He was probably one of the most gifted, naturally gifted riders that never won a United States Speedway Championship. But Danny Becker was an amazing rider. Probably the most electrifying speedway rider in the 70s, maybe ever, was Danny Becker. Danny Becker was so good. He would like ride the wall in a wheelie going full blast on a 22-inch rear tire. He just electrified the crowd. Every time Larry Huffman announced his name, everybody watched Danny Becker. Also, Danny had the look. He had the look. Number 3, Danny Becker. He just was an amazingly handsome guy. He had the chicks always calling him on the phone back in the days of the landline. They would call him so much and they would say like, "Hey Danny, can I have your baby?" And Danny was like, "Oh no." Danny didn't like that because Danny's a good guy, right? And so Danny had to change his telephone number like 9 times. Coming in at number 2, glamour boy of the 1970s, the guy with all the looks. He was a handsome guy. And it was number 19, Slidin' Sonny Nutter. Sonny Nutter was a chick magnet. He was probably the first glamour boy of the revival of the United States Speedway. He was just a good-looking guy, and he was the first California state champion. Sonny was just a cool guy. He was a cool cat, that Sonny Nutter. And he had lots of parties at his house. He had all the chicks coming to those parties. And if you went to the speedway races, after the races, there was a party at Slidin' Sonny Nutter's house. Sonny never won a United States Speedway Championship, but he was a highly gifted rider. He was really good. He was sponsored by KEZY Radio in Anaheim. And after the races, who was one of the last persons to leave the pits signing autographs, telling the people to come back and spend their money at the Speedway? It was Slidin' Sonny Nutter. And number one most handsome glamour boy of the 70s was none other than number 1 and number 45. That was Bruce the Fox Penhall. Bruce got the nickname the Fox. The Fox because his incredibly good-looking looks. He was just the glamour boy of all glamour boys. But not only was Bruce Penhall good-looking, he was a good rider. One of the greatest United States Speedway riders of all time. He had the looks, and he had the riding ability. He was a 2-time world champion, and he was a United States Speedway champion. Bruce Penhall, he was on top of the world. Before leaving in Europe, Bruce Penhall, they had a night dedicated to him called the Fox Night at Costa Mesa Speedway. That's where the girls, the chicks got in for free, and the boys followed. It was a big event, packed house, and it was the Fox Night for Bruce Penhall. Bruce Penhall was definitely the number 1 glamour boy of the 70s with those Hollywood looks. He had the Hollywood looks so much that he turned in to be a Hollywood actor after his racing days in Europe. He was a co-star on the TV show Chips. Woo! Also, Bruce was in several B movies after his days at Chips. Bruce Penhall was a famous speedway rider, and he was a Hollywood actor. I had a chance to interview Bruce Penhall on one of my live stream shows last year, and I talked to Bruce about his amazingly good looks. And Bruce Penhall, he declined to talk about it. He did not want to talk about his good looks. So we talked about his riding. Bruce Penhall, he had it all. He had the good looks, and he was one of the greatest speedway riders in American history of all time. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today in the Hive. We talked about the top 5 glamour boys of the 1970s. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please come back, please subscribe, like the show, and we're gonna see you next time.